They told me to walk it off, like my legs were just being dramatic, like pain was a personality flaw, like the only thing that mattered was that I didn't ruin the photos. I remember the wet concrete under my boots first, not the laughter, not the music, not even the smell of chlorine drifting off the backyard pool like a lie you could taste. The concrete was slick from a passing storm, the kind of storm that shows up uninvited, dumps its mess, and leaves everyone pretending it never happened. That's what their family gatherings were like. My name is Nolan. I worked warehouses, loaded trucks, did the kind of jobs you don't brag about at cocktail parties. My wife, Kelsey, used to say she liked that I was grounded. What she meant was I was quiet, easy to manage, a man who'd swallow discomfort to keep the peace. Her family didn't do peace, they did performance. The party was for her sister's birthday, Alyssa 35, and still the center of every orbit. The backyard looked like a magazine spread, string lights, white napkins folded like tiny sculptures, a charcuterie board the size of a car hood. People laughed with their heads thrown back, like they'd practiced in mirrors. Every man wore a watch that looked more expensive than my truck. I stood near the edge of the pool, doing what I always did, taking up as little space as possible. Kelsey was across the deck, radiant in a sundress that cost more than my weekly groceries. She held her wine like it was part of her posture. Her brother Graham was with her, telling a story and acting it out with his hands. His laugh was the loudest in every room. Not warm, not friendly, loud like a warning. I'd known Graham since the first time Kelsey brought me to her parents' house. He'd squeezed my hand too hard in that nice-to-meet-you handshake and said, "So you're the guy," like I was a suspect. Every year it got worse. Not always obvious. Not always something you could point to without sounding like you were whining. It was the little things, the jokes at my expense, the accidents that somehow always involved me getting shoved, bumped, tripped, dunked, humiliated. And every time Kelsey told me the same thing. Don't be so sensitive. That afternoon, I'd worked a double shift. My shirt still smelled like cardboard and sweat, even after I'd scrubbed my hands raw. I'd told Kelsey I didn't have the energy for her family's party. She'd smiled without warmth and said, "It's Alyssa's birthday. Just show up. Don't make it weird." So I showed up. I stood there watching the pool water ripple, thinking about the electric bill, when I heard Graham's voice cut through the music like someone turning a dial. "Nolan!" Heads turned. People love a show. Graham walked toward me with that confident swagger, like he owned not just the backyard, but everyone in it. His shirt was perfectly pressed. His hair was perfect in that casual way that takes effort. He looked at me like I was a toy he'd gotten bored of, but hadn't broken yet. "There he is," he said, loud enough for half the party to hear. "The hard-working hero, still in uniform too. What is that, like a blue-collar cosplay?" Some people laughed politely. Others looked away. I forced a smile because that's what you do when you're surrounded by people who already decided you're beneath them. "Hey," I said, "nice party." "Oh, it's not about the party," he said, grinning. "It's about tradition." That word tradition hit my stomach like a fist. Before I could move, Graham grabbed my forearm. Not a friendly touch, not a guiding touch. A grip, a clamp. His fingers dug into the muscle like he was testing how much pressure it took to make me flinch. "Come on," he said. "We've got to do it." I tried to pull back. "I'm good, seriously." Kelsey looked over, already annoyed, like I was a stain on her perfect afternoon. "Just do it," she called. "Stop acting like everything is a big deal." Alyssa joined in from her throne near the patio, a crown of attention on her head. "Don't ruin my birthday with your moods," she said, smiling like it was cute. It was always like this. If I said no, I was the problem. If I protested, I was dramatic. If I stayed quiet, they called me a good sport, like tolerance was a personality. Graham's grin widened. "See? Even the birthday queen wants you to loosen up." "I'm tired," I said, low so only he could hear. "Let it go." He leaned in like he was sharing a secret. "You don't get to tell me what to do in my family's house." Then he did it. He hooked his arm around mine and spun me. Hard. At first my boots slipped and I caught myself, but the wet concrete gave me nothing. The world tilted. The string lights became streaks. Laughter turned into a blur. I heard someone yell, "Do it again!" I heard a phone camera start recording. I saw the pool steps, 3 stone steps leading down into shallow water rush toward me like a car crash you can't avoid. I tried to plant my feet, tried to twist away, but momentum doesn't care about pride. Graham let go. For half a second, I was airborne. And then my lower back hit the edge of the steps with a sound that didn't belong at a party. It wasn't a thud. It was a crack. A clean, sharp crack that made the music feel far away. Pain flashed so bright it turned the sky white. I tried to inhale and couldn't. My body locked. My mouth opened with no sound. The pool water splashed cold against my sides. Then something worse than pain arrived. Nothing. I couldn't feel my legs. I stared down, waiting for sensation to crawl back like it always did after a hard fall. But my legs weren't mine anymore. They were just there. Kelsey's heels clicked toward me, fast and irritated. "Oh my God, Nolan," she snapped, looking around at the guests like she needed witnesses. "Get up. Walk it off. Stop being a baby." I tried to speak. The words came out like a rasp. "I can't move." Alyssa's face pinched like I'd spilled wine on her dress. "Are you serious?" she said. "Is this happening right now? On my birthday?" Graham stood with his hands on his hips, smirking like he just won something. "He's fine. He's always like this. Big reaction, zero resilience." People shifted uncomfortably. Some laughed softly like they weren't sure if this was still part of the joke. I tried to move a toe. Nothing. I tried to lift my knee. Nothing. My heart hammered like it was trying to kick down a door inside my chest. "Kelsey," I managed, voice shaking now. "I can't feel—" "Stop," she snapped. "You're making everyone uncomfortable." The world tunneled. I could see sky, string lights, faces leaning in and away. I could hear my own breathing turning into panic. That's when a woman pushed through the crowd. She was maybe in her late 30s, hair pulled back tight, wearing a simple blouse and jeans. No design or anything. Her eyes went straight to me. Not the guests, not Kelsey, not the birthday centerpiece. Me. "Don't touch him," she said, voice calm but sharp. Graham scoffed. "Relax. It's just—" "I said don't touch him." The party went quiet in the way a room goes quiet when an adult finally arrives. She knelt beside me carefully. "Hey, look at me. What's your name?" "Nolan," I whispered. "I'm Marin," she said. "I'm a paramedic. Off duty." My throat tightened with relief, so intense it almost hurt. Marin's hands hovered over my legs, not moving me, just testing. "Can you feel this?" she asked, pressing gently on my shin. I watched her fingers press into my skin like it belonged to someone else. "No," I said. "Nothing." Her face didn't panic, but something shifted behind her eyes' calculation. Urgency. "Can you wiggle your toes?" I tried so hard it made my jaw tremble. Nothing. Marin didn't look at Kelsey, but she spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. "This is a suspected spinal injury. Nobody moves him, nobody helps, nobody tries to sit him up." Kelsey's voice cracked, half annoyance, half fear. "He's always dramatic. He works too much. He probably just—" Marin turned her head slowly toward Kelsey, and the look she gave her could have stopped traffic. "Ma'am," she said, "your husband is reporting loss of sensation and movement in both legs after blunt force trauma to his lower spine. That's not drama. That's emergency." Kelsey opened her mouth, then closed it like she didn't know what face to wear when the script changed. Marin pulled out her phone and called 911 with a voice so clear and professional it made the situation real in a way nothing else had. As she spoke, I stared up at the sky and thought stupidly about how blue it was, how normal, how unfair. Sirens arrived fast. An ambulance crew came in with a backboard and straps and practiced efficiency. A police officer followed them, tall, broad expression set like stone. The moment the officer saw Marin's face, he took his notebook out. "What happened?" he asked. Marin answered, "Witnessed assault. He was forcibly spun and thrown backward into concrete pool steps. He reports no sensation or movement below the waist." I instructed the scene not to move him. The officer's eyes swept the crowd. "Everyone stays," he said. "Nobody leaves until I get statements." Graham's smirk faltered for the first time. "Assault?" he said, laughing too loudly. "Come on, it was a joke." The paramedic nearest my head looked at me. "Sir, can you tell me what happened?" This was the moment they all expected me to do what I always did, minimize, smooth it over, keep the peace. But lying there unable to feel my legs, the peace felt like a trap. I swallowed. I said no, I said. He grabbed me anyway. He spun me. He threw me. Silence crashed down like a wave. Kelsey's face tightened. Nolan! No! I said louder. I said no! The officer's pen moved faster. They strapped me to the board. Foam blocks pinned my head. The ceiling of the world became a blur of faces and string lights as they lifted me carefully. I heard Alyssa whisper, "This is ruining everything." I heard someone else whisper, "Oh my God, is he paralyzed?" I heard Graham mutter, "He's overreacting." But his voice shook now. In the ambulance, the paramedic, an older woman with kind eyes, kept her voice steady while she checked my vitals. "I'm Dana," she said. "You're doing great. Stay with me." I wanted to tell her I wasn't doing great. I wanted to tell her I was terrified, but my throat was too tight. At the hospital, everything became bright and cold and fast. Fluorescent lights, plastic curtains, machines that beeped like they knew more about me than I did. A doctor introduced himself as Dr. Malik. He spoke gently, but his eyes didn't soften. "We need imaging," he said. "MRI of your spine." The MRI machine sounded like construction happening inside a metal tunnel. I stared at the ceiling of the tube and tried not to think about wheelchairs and endings. When they pulled me out, Dr. Malik wasn't alone. A spine specialist stood beside him, a woman with silver-streaked hair and the kind of calm that scared you because it didn't flinch. She introduced herself as Dr. Shu. She held a tablet with black and white images of my spine. To me, it looked like weather patterns. "To start," Dr. Shu said, "you have a fresh fracture in your lumbar spine L2. That explains the symptoms." A fracture. I'd broken my back. My mouth went dry. "Will I tried. "Will I walk?" "We don't know yet," she said honestly. "But there's something else." She swiped to another image and pointed. "These," she said, "are older fractures, L4, T9, T11. I blinked. "Older?" Dr. Malik's voice went quieter. "These aren't from today." My heart thudded. I thought of a Thanksgiving when I'd fallen down their stairs and Kelsey said I was clumsy. I thought of the trampoline wrestling last summer when Graham had knocked me off the edge and everyone laughed while I lay in the grass trying not to vomit. I thought of the pool dunking game where Graham held me under just a second too long and then told me to relax. It all connected like a chain clicking into place. "These injuries show repeated blunt force trauma," Dr. Shu said. "Different stages of healing, different times." My voice came out thin. "So, this has been happening." Dr. Hashu didn't sugarcoat it. "Your spine is telling a story, Nolan, and it's not the story you've been told." That night, a detective came to my room. Detective Lena Crow, mid-40s, sharp eyes, quiet confidence. She didn't come in like she was hunting. She came in like she already believed me, and that was its own kind of shock. "I watched a video from the party," she said. "A guest recorded the incident." My stomach clenched. "I don't want—" "I understand," she said, "but it helps. It's evidence." She showed it to me. There I was, backing away, hands up. You could hear me say no. You could see Graham grab me. You could see the spin, the throw, the fall. You could hear the crack. Then you could hear Kelsey. "Walk it off. Stop being a baby." I watched my own body lying there while laughter spilled over it like water. Detective Crow paused the video. "What do you see?" she asked. My throat tightened. "I see assault," I said. "And I see my wife letting it happen." Crow nodded once, like she'd been waiting for me to say it out loud. "Based on the footage," she said, "and your MRI results showing a pattern of prior injuries, we're pursuing aggravated assault charges against Graham." My chest felt like it was splitting, relief and grief at the same time. "What about Kelsey?" I asked. Crow's expression didn't change. "We're investigating her role. Enabling, neglect, obstruction. It depends on what we can prove and what you're willing to say." Willing. Like truth was a door I had to choose to walk through, even when walking wasn't guaranteed. Around midnight, Kelsey stormed into my hospital room like she still owned the space. Her face was red with anger, not fear. "They arrested my brother," she hissed, "in front of everyone. Do you have any idea what you've done?" I stared at her from the bed, unable to sit up without pain. "What I've done," I repeated. "This is going to destroy us," she said, voice shaking. "My parents are furious. Alyssa is humiliated. People were filming. Nolan, why would you do this? The word do landed like I'd committed a crime. I swallowed. I couldn't move my legs, I said. And you had to make it public, she snapped. You couldn't just handle it privately. Privately, like the bruises, like the falls, like the fractures in my spine. Dr. Shu's words echoed in my head. Your spine is telling a story. I looked at Kelsey and felt something in me finally snap, not my back, but the part of me that still believed she might choose me if things got serious enough. Kelsey, I said quietly, when I told you I couldn't feel my legs, you called me a baby. Her mouth opened, then closed, like she didn't have a comeback for a fact. Then the mask returned. You always make things about you, she said. You always. Detective Crow stepped into the doorway at that moment, like timing was the one mercy I was getting. Mrs. Bennett, Crow said, voice calm, I need to speak with you. Kelsey's eyes darted. Fear, anger, calculation. This is a misunderstanding, Kelsey said quickly, forcing a smile that looked painful. My husband exaggerates when he's stressed. You told a man with a suspected spinal injury to walk it off, Crow said. We have it on video. Kelsey's smile died. And medical imaging shows prior, untreated fractures, Crow continued. So I'm going to ask you again. Is this a misunderstanding or is this a pattern? Kelsey looked at me like I was a stranger, like I'd betrayed her by refusing to keep being convenient. That was the moment I realized I'd been fighting for a marriage she'd only been managing. After she left, the room got quiet in a way that felt new. Not peaceful, just honest. I stared at my legs under the blanket and tried again, just once, to move my toes. Nothing. My throat tightened and I didn't let the tears fall until the nurse dimmed the lights and walked out. Because here's the truth I didn't want to admit. The worst pain wasn't in my back. It was in the realization that the people who were supposed to protect me had been rehearsing my suffering like it was entertainment. And for years I'd let them. The MRI didn't just reveal fractures, it revealed my life. And as terrifying as that was, it also did something else, something I didn't expect. It proved I wasn't crazy, I wasn't weak, I wasn't too sensitive. I was injured, repeatedly, systematically. And for the first time, the story wasn't theirs to tell, it was mine.